What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today we're going to be reacting to some Odyssey by Chris Nolan, but also Ludwig. He composed the Odyssey and has been making rounds on social media, so we're going to be breaking down some of the Odyssey. I know it's probably one of those tracks where limited pausing. I know you guys just want to experience the track in full, but I just have to break down, just Ludwig's composing here with the ethereal voices, and he does a good job of in each of his compositions, whether it's Oppenheimer, Sinners, or The Odyssey, even Tenant. I'm not a big fan of the movie Tenant, but I think the soundtrack was top notch. One thing that he always does very well is understanding the instruments of the time and ethereal voices and very kind of what do you call it, like metallic kind of percussion that's going on, and obviously as the track opens up, maybe we get that. But I remember hearing this on the big screen, and just nothing beats hearing this track. And you know what Odysseus says to one of his crewmen after hearing this. I can't remember what the quote is. Maybe you guys can post the quote down in the comments. But it's making its way on social media, and I think Christopher Nolan was in his bag writing that. To be honest, it was one of the. It's really, really great. But at the moment, we're just getting so much just ethereal kind of melancholy feeling at the moment, and I think that's very intentional by Ludwig to design the soundtrack like this. But he always understands the era and where he's composing, whether it's the Mandalorian, whether it's Sinners, whether it's the Oppenheimer, whether it's Tenant, whether it's the Odyssey. Like, he just understands each era, and he does a lot of in-depth research to really bring that to light. pictures, like, the Odyssey, like when you watch this be put on the big screen, just also the performance as well. It's just, I have no words. I mean, just the fact that they found, I think I remember seeing something like they found, or they had an old like Greek instrument that would play like a drone, but also play a bit of like the whirlwinds, and they actually recorded it, and it's what you're hearing, and you hear just really little kind of metallic kind of bass being played, and just that instrument having stacked layers, like I think around this part here, like just here it's surrounding, like it's the mix, so it's like some is playing off in the right, some is playing off in the left, like it's just quite stacked with this instrument. Yeah. It's kind of just a whole, pardon the pun, but it's just the whole kind of whirlwind hits you, and it just builds up to this type of crescendo without like it being, the kind of romantic kind of orchestra with the, how the kind of orchestra they build up to this crescendo, and it's like really epic and grandiose, but it doesn't, it just ends kind of just leaving you wanting more, which is, oddly enough, if you've seen the Odyssey, that's the whole point of the Siren song. You kind of, it's that itch that you can't scratch, as Odysseus says. And the ethereal voices kick back in, like those really, those kind of angelic voices. That's the word. Kind of, when you talk about like the Odyssey, the soul in the text and in works that's been adapted, they always talk about kind of the gods and the angels and all of this in the Odyssey. So it's like the fact that it's using kind of angelic, I'm gonna call it angelic voices is a testament to it, to be honest with you. And it's really like, it's just, the track itself is probably, I would probably say multiple layers, but it doesn't feel like that. And I think that's what's good about Ludwig as a composer, is that his work feels so compact, but there's only like 3 or 4 instruments he's using, but it feels so just big and epic. And also, like, there's a drone underneath those kind of angelic voices that's being played right now. Like, there's just another layer, just a little bit of a, just a humming drone. Yeah, I mean, it's a super fantastic track, and I went and watched the movie, and not to give spoilers, or I think the movie is a goddamn masterpiece as well. And because we're a channel that breaks down soundtracks and mainly games, I've been seeing this make its way around social media, and the Odyssey deserves the praise. And I want to highlight the Siren track as well, because, well, the track is sitting at 2 minutes and 40 seconds, but in that there's so many feelings. And guys, go and do and watch the Odyssey, and just take notes from it. If aspiring composers like myself, we can learn a lot from a composer like Ludwig. And while he might not do a game, soundtracks, or why he might not, he specifically does, TV and film. Still, though, it's all universal. Games, films, music, it's all art and it's all universal language. And, we can take bits and bobs and adapt it into our own types of works. And, that's why these people exist, and why they're great at their work, because once upon a time they were like us, learning the ropes and with their skills and stuff. But one thing that Ludwig always seems to impress me with every project he takes, whether it's big, small, whatever, he really wants to get like the era, the Bronze Age, which is like the Odyssey and stuff, really down to a T. And when you go and you sprinkle and you listen through the Odyssey, he really highlights that. But he does have his signature touch a little bit, which is kind of like his electronic 808s and stuff, and he does have that sprinkled through. But ultimately, it's going back to what instruments were used in the Bronze Age. That Odysseus, obviously he's a fictional character, but kind of like Odysseus would here in ancient Greek. Yeah, it's a fantastic soundtrack. Let me know, guys, what you think down below in the comments down below, and do you recommend me listen to some of the Odyssey as well? I will be more than happy to post on in the comments down below which one. And any recommendations, jump down in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you leave a like. Bye bye.